Well, guys, I have something really cool to show you guys. This is my brand new bike. Just got it in yesterday and built it up at the bike shop. And this is my third ride since I've gotten it. And I've completed just shy of 40 miles. And I've figured what I do is give my initial impression and do a quick bike check. So this is a 2018 alloy framed extra large Santa Cruz Bronson, and this is the S build. So let's just go ahead and go over the componentry real quick. So up front, I'm rocking a Fox 36 fork with 150 millimeters of travel. The compression, basically 3 settings. You've got your fully open, and it clicks into kind of your trail mode, and then lockout. It's got rebound, air spring. It's very rigid, very buttery feeling, great feeling fork. Does tend to bob quite a bit under pedaling power, particularly when you stand up and pedal. So I do find that using compression is perhaps a little more important with this fork than some of the other Foxes, and this is my first experience with the 36, but I love the lateral stiffness. It even though it has 150 millimeters of travel, the tune that they seem to have, even with the extra volume air canister or air chamber in it, the tune is very progressive, and so it does ramp up further into the travel, and it really does feel like you're well supported further into the travel. Rocking the race face AR27, so this is a 27 millimeter alloy rim, and this is rocking the DT Swiss 370 hubs in the front and rear. And this is cool because the bike is advertised. If you go to the Santa Cruz website, it advertises Novatech, which is kind of a lower quality hub. So I was pleasantly surprised that I'm rocking DT Swiss 370 hubs. They're very good hubs, very solid. It's too bad I wasn't rocking like a 30 millimeter rim, because then I'd feel more comfortable putting larger diameter tires on, particularly on the front. I really like to get 2.8, Maxxis 2.8. Right now, stock off the shelf, it's running the 2.3 Maxxis DHR DHF combination, DHF up front, DHR in the rear. And they seem to work really good. They seem to have pretty decent traction, but I'm still would like to get something a little wider. It's running the SRAM Guide R brakes, front and rear, with the 180 millimeter SRAM centerline rotors. So far, I haven't had any issues with these. However, in the past, I have had issues with SRAM brakes. Not the Guide R's so much, the lower level, the guides. Particularly with the handles, and as I understand, there are still some ongoing issues, so there may or may not be a warranty issue, but so far they've worked flawlessly. Feel really good. Okay, this is of course the Boost 110 spacing up front and the Boost 148 in the rear. Okay, this is an alloy frame, beautiful black color. It's really hard to appreciate on video, but it's not a full-on black. It's a real dark charcoal, and you can see there's a dark black stripe here, but it's this dark charcoal, and it has this really cool, they call chili pepper red lettering, and it really just makes it look like a Darth Vader bike. So maybe I thought about maybe calling it Darth Gila or something like that. Really cool. Okay, it's running a race face bar. I believe this is set at 800 millimeters, so nice and wide, with a 50 millimeter race face affect stem. So fairly short stem, very long handlebar, great combination. Rocking a 66 degree head angle, so it is very aggressive for going downhill, but it has a very steep C-tube angle, and so it does support climbing fairly well as far as I can tell. The big issue I'm running into now is I'm finally finding the kinks in the armor of this bike, and that is on extended technical steep uphill climbs. The front does become a little unstable, and it tends to want to pop up, and that's just something inherent to a bike with such aggressive geometry like that, and that's just a compromise that you got to deal with. Okay, I'm running a RockShox Reverb dropper seat post, 150 millimeters. Love it. I love this handle here, this new handle. They usually come with like the little plungers, the older ones. but this one has a nice handle that really mimics trigger shifting, and so it feels very natural, and it's a very great place, and it even has some subtle some subtle texture to it, so it's not as slick as you might initially think. They could actually make it even more textured, but I still like it. It still feels pretty decent. Of course, the sun's going down. It's going to be night, so I'm rocking a Bontrager Ion 700 torch. It's a couple of years old now. Okay, no front derailleur, and this is kind of the crowning glory of the drivetrain for a bike at this price point. And this is, of course, as you can see, I'm rocking the Eagle 1x12. So it's a 10 to 50 range in the rear. I believe this is a 32 tooth ring up front with a SRAM GX Eagle cranks. I love running flat pedals, so I put on my classic race face Chester pedals. It's a light. It is a light polycarbonate composite shell with really good, robust screws. It's actually, you might think it's flimsy and light, but it's a great pedal. It's very tough. It's light, and for the price, it's one of the best. And then I put some boots on the crank to protect from strikes. However, I'm noticing that I'm not having significant issues with pedal strikes on this bike, at least not of yet. So it's very well balanced. I just love the geometry of this bike. It's just great. I'm rocking a Fox Float DPS extra volume or EVOL chamber. They've done a great job of tuning this, even though it has about 5 inches, 150 millimeters of travel in the rear. It's very progressive, so you feel very well supported. And the virtual pivot point, the VPP suspension, has great anti-squat properties, and so as long as you can keep your ass in the seat and pedal, it doesn't bob. It does bob when you stand up to pedal, and that's something you want to think about. But if you can keep your ass in the seat and keep your weight reasonably well balanced, it doesn't bob. It's great. Of course, I'm running the SRAM Guide R with 180 millimeter centerline rotor in the rear and the same rim. And of course, I've talked about the tire as well. So there we go. That's a basic bike check. And my initial impressions so far are really good. My first ride was last night. It was a 13-mile night ride in the Gila National Forest on a combination of single track and double track. Fairly easy to moderately technical trail, so I haven't really pushed this bike to its limits at all. As far as technical downhill terrain goes, this is a wonderful bike. The geometry is wonderful. The standover height, even though this is an extra large frame and it looks like a huge monster bike, look at the standover is incredibly low, right? And so you can shift your center of gravity really low. You can feel stable. You can feel confident hitting really technical stuff. And the bottom bracket height is actually higher than the Pony Rustler. So I'm not getting the pedal strikes that I was with a Pony Rustler. So this is a very balanced bike. So my initial impressions are I'm stunned by how well this bike pedals for the amount of travel that it has. It's for an alloy bike, 150 millimeters of travel, it's less than 30 pounds. It's 29 pounds and some change, about 30 pounds with the pedals installed. Which is incredible. My Pony Rustler is a 120 millimeter travel bike, and it was about 32 and a half pounds with pedals, right? So, much more aggressive bike, weighs a lot lighter. But the biggest issue that I'm running into is the fact that I'm no longer running a mid-fat tire size, and so I'm finding that traction is somewhat of an issue, particularly with the drivetrain. If I shift into lower gears, I find that I need more traction to pedal, and I'm more prone to spinning out. And you really got to keep your ass in the seat. Standing up is not as intuitive or easy with this kind of bike. So I find the lack of traction to be the biggest obstacle, and hopefully I'll get used to that. Although I am going to be saving up, and I am going to be changing the tires out here in a couple months when I wear these out. I like to go to a 2.8 up front, which is very easy with a 110 fork. I can go full on mid-fat up the front. The rear, I can't do that even if I got a wider rim, simply because of clearance. So right now with a 2.3 inch tire, you can see I have ample amounts of clearance. I believe that Santa Cruz will only certify you up to a 2.4 inch diameter tire, and then warranty issues become a problem. So I'm going to be somewhat limited on the back, although there are some pretty decent 2.4 tire options, and maybe I will allegedly think about putting a 2.5 or 2.6 on, although I will only do a 2.4, quote unquote. All right, so that's my bike check and my initial impression of the 2018 Bronson Alloy S build. I am super happy with this bike. This is instantly, it felt good when I started riding this, and I have nothing but good things to say so far. Like I said, I only have about 40 miles on it right now, and I've only been riding it for the last 2 days. So I will give a more comprehensive review in good time. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully maybe I'll see some of you out on the trails tonight. All right, take it easy and have fun doing whatever it is you may be doing.